welcome to your magical messaging and mindset tip with Christine Collins. Hey there, it's Christine Collins, and I've got a really fun topic for us today. I wanted to talk through some aspects of the hero's journey and together see if maybe we could concoct a version of that felt a little bit more closely aligned with a heroine's journey. And I just want to start off by saying that I grew up with the hero's journey. I read a lot of books, a lot of fiction books that addressed that journey and enjoyed every one of them. But this is an opportunity for us to kind of take it apart just a little bit to see if there are some areas where we can make adjustments to have an alternative version of it. And that's not in any way to take away the validity of the hero's journey as it exists, but to give us some other options for other types of journeys when we need or want them. I also want to say that while we're exploring feminine characteristics, this is also not about gender or sex. So some of the hallmarks of the hero's journey. One of them is leaving the home, leaving what is familiar to get out into the adventure, the wilderness, to have this experience and this adventure. One interesting thing about women is that we really tend to deeply value our sacred spaces, our home environment, which is kind of like our nest, and also those things around us that feel like home. And since we're kind of taking this and giving a different spin on it, I think it's an interesting concept to consider that a journey can happen anywhere and it can even happen at home without actually leaving your home, and that there can be a tremendous amount of growth, adventure, and insight without actually going somewhere far away or at all. And that's definitely not to say that there's not tremendous value in doing that anyway and going on an adventure and leaving your home and kind of exploring the world, but this is just to give us a little bit different take, a little bit different type of journey. Another element is the notion of kind of getting out there and doing something difficult and forgetting about yourself. And what I think is an interesting exploration there is that for many women, their day-to-day life is difficult, and actually more often than not, the lesson they need to learn or the reminder or nudge that they need to get is not so much to kind of get up off your bum and go do something, it is rather to rest. They don't necessarily need a nudge or a reminder to be more generous and more giving of themselves, because often they already are, and the nudge they need is to learn how to be a little bit more selfish, a little bit more self-caring. There's also typically an element early on in the hero's journey, before the adventure begins, in which the hero initially says no to the journey, initially doesn't want to go and do the thing, and is given a nudge in various different forms until they're either forced out into it or they choose it. And I think that an interesting, important piece here for women is that many times the lesson that needs to be learned or the growth and development that needs to happen is not learning how to say yes to more things. It is rather learning how to say no. In many cases, they're already saying yes too often, and learning how to say no more consistently in order to evaluate their own needs more consistently is the growth and the journey. And none of this is to say that we can't all have both the hero's journey and the heroine's journey, because they both have equally valuable lessons to learn. Another aspect in the hero's journey is the introduction of a wise person, an elder of some kind. It may be a wizard or something similar to that. And the hero is learning from and being guided by this wise person. So, certainly not to suggest that learning from wiser people and having people to look up to guide us, to help us, and to learn wisdom from, that not to say that that's not valuable, but to consider in this heroine's journey that perhaps what needs to actually occur is a deepening and a further connection with one's own inner wisdom, learning to trust one's own inner wisdom, learning to believe in oneself, and to be guided more by oneself. Many women might relate to feeling as though we've been kind of socialized to consult with others, to get the buy-in of others, to be very collaborative, and that's a very good thing. But I think early on we we kind of learn to go to others, to talk it out, whether you're calling a best friend or in your younger years a parent or eventually your partner. There's always kind of a consultation with other people in your life, and that's, again, not a bad thing at all. However, in this heroine's journey, perhaps the nudge or the lesson is, rather than to continuously go out of yourself always to someone else for wisdom, guidance, and suggestions, is to learn how to value your own wisdom and guidance and to trust your own thought process and your own intuition. Now, in a hero's journey, there's often a dragon to slay or a monster or a villain outside of oneself that one has to go off on the adventure in order to overcome. Many times, for women, the villains and monsters are much closer to home. It can be a battle within yourself. It can be struggling with your own lack of self-belief, your self-doubt, second-guessing yourself, self-esteem, mental wellness, or personal physical health as well. Or it could be a more immediate situation with a family member, a partner, a child, someone else in your surroundings that is causing the majority of the challenges and struggles. And so the challenge or obstacle to overcome is less of a dragon to slay out there, and it may be more of an internal battle in some way. And then the final piece in the hero's journey is coming home. And often when the hero comes home, they return with a treasure of some kind that they have picked up along the way in the course of their adventure. And so, since we're kind of playing the opposite game here with the heroine's journey and looking at different alternative perspectives to take, we could consider that perhaps in this instance the treasure was there all along, and it is more of a discovery or a rediscovery of something that always existed. Now, this could be something within oneself. It could be that innate wisdom, learning to trust that inner guidance, learning to develop trust and believe in one's own skills or talents, or it could be something that's been right in front of them all along that perhaps they've been undervaluing. It could be a family member, it could be something about their own home, it could be something within themselves, or it could be something in their surroundings that they suddenly kind of wake up and realize after this journey has been extremely beneficial to them the whole time, and it gives them a beautiful opportunity to bring that treasure home that has been there the whole time. Now, you may know that taking apart stories like this is one of my favorite things to do. I just love to dissect things, pull them apart, and kind of look on the underside to see what we might discover. And part of that interest is because the stories that we carry around, the beliefs that we consider, can play a big role in our life experience. And those stories that we hear, that we're told, or that we believe can go down deep to the subconscious level. Stories that we have adopted inadvertently from parents, friends, relatives, siblings, teachers, partners, former partners, all kinds of messages that we received along the way that we now hold to be truth. And we don't necessarily go around evaluating those things to consider whether they still remain true for us or if they were ever true at all, particularly the ones that were negative or negative about us. Beliefs that you're just not quite good enough, not quite smart enough, not quite educated enough, not quite talented, beautiful, or amazing enough, and that is the reason why you're not successful. That is the reason why this isn't working out or that isn't working out. And those stories that are getting continuously carried around and perpetuated will continue to cycle out through in the lived experience, because the way that we believe things and the things that we think about tend to inform our behaviors and our choices and the way that we respond to various different situations. And so when we can dissect those stories, we can take them apart just like we did with this one. We can look at the underbelly and kind of see what's really going on there, and then assess whether that story is truly worth continuing with, or if we want to change something about it. And the stories that hold us back are often called limiting beliefs, and the nice thing is that we have tools where we can change those stories. We have tools like hypnosis, EFT, emotional freedom technique, which is also known as tapping. We have yoga nidra, we have visualization, and all of these different tools are available in my Hypno-Pothecary, which is a monthly mindset membership. All of the info about that is down at the bottom of the show notes in case you're interested. You can access those tools any time of day or night. They are on demand and for you whenever you need them. brain. And some of the incredible benefit of tools like hypnosis in those hypnotic suggestions is hearing it over and over again. The repetition helps us to build the new neural pathways and those new beautiful beliefs. So feel free to check that out at the bottom of the show notes, and until we connect the next time, I wish you the most magical and creative rest of your day. Thanks for listening. This is Christine Collins at transformcreate.com.